Welcome to the video. So this is going to perhaps be a bit of a longer video. I'm certainly not going to rush through it by any means, as I believe this is definitely one of my more important videos, if not the most important video I've made. So definitely going to try and take my time with this. With this video, we're not going to be doing any decoding per se, but instead we're just going to be going through a series of notes I prepared for the video, and we're going to be looking at where I went wrong in some of my predictions, as well as where I went right, and what the next week can look like for us, as I still believe we don't have very long, and you'll see why within this video. I think you guys will find this a pretty uplifting video and a positive one. But before we begin, I'm just going to read a quick and simple gospel. John chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do is believe in him. It doesn't matter how good of a person you've been in your life, or how often you've gone to church, or even how often you've prayed. There's no equation of good things to bad that you've done in your life that results in your salvation. Your only path to salvation is through believing in Christ's sacrifice on the cross. And that is the only way. That is the narrow gate. Faith in him is what separates us from the 10,000 other religions in the world that believe that they can achieve salvation through their good deeds or their good works. That is the broad way that leads to destruction. Faith in Christ alone is the narrow gate. And that's the one that leads to life. So we're going to go over to the notes here. So I did make a kind of pre-video post for this, where I've included some of the points that we're going to talk about here. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is the concept I kind of coined today of primary versus secondary symbolism. So in terms of primary symbolism, this is, if you followed my channel or Raw Repent, this is where the bulk of symbolism is pointing towards. This is going to be stuff that's reoccurrent in almost everything, and it's a very unmistakable point in time. So I believe the highest watch period we've ever had in terms of symbolism, is March 14th to 17th, 2025. So this is where we have our blue blood pi moon. Our dates 314 to 316. We have our equilux, and then we have our new year on the old Roman calendar, which is represented with kind of New Year's celebrations or the kind of white rabbits, and then St. Patrick's Day. So this is a very unmistakable point in time, and it's really what the vast majority of symbolism points to. So the question then is, why is this not going to be the departure of the church? So I think the reason in there lies that, as the point below reads, retrospectively marks an unmistakable point in time. So I believe, I've mentioned this in a couple of my other videos, but I believe the enemy symbolism functions in a similar way to the story of Job, in that when Job was being tested, he was not aware of the conditions that surrounded his kind of trial. And I think in a similar way, we are like Job in that we're not fully aware of the conditions that surround us. And I think one of those conditions is that the enemy has to reveal their plan to us. And in a way, it's almost like breadcrumbs. If you've watched Leave the World Behind, you have your wolf moon, then your white lion, quote unquote, which is the snow moon in February. And then the most prevalent in symbolism is our pi blood moon. This is incredibly reoccurrent. So I think the purpose of that is it's very identifiable for saints that are about to depart, as well as it's a very identifiable point in time for tribulation saints when they're going to be retrospectively looking at the symbolism. So this is going to be a very unmistakable point in time. Whereas where I believe, spoiler alert, later in the video, I believe the departure of the church is March 22nd on our third quarter moon, and then the sudden destruction comes on 3/23. So this point in time, I don't believe you could create an unmistakable identifier for it. You don't have your kind of blood moon, the pi day, equilux. It's not as identifiable. So I think this is why this kind of time period is so prevalent, because this is our last major time marker before we have our prophetic events which occur down here. So that's why I believe there's the importance of that. And the next we're going to move on to is the secondary symbolism, which is not as hyper specific, whereas this is very hyper specific. You have 23, which is very reoccurring. In the Simpsons Rapture episode, this is your Earth is channel 23, where I theorized in a previous video that the reason they said that is this is the day after the church departs, hence the Earth is channel 23. And then you have, while this seems, sorry, I just gotta grab a drink of water. While this would seem like primary symbolism, the third quarter moon, as is very reoccurring, it's not specific enough to represent any particular period of time, but I think in conjunction with our blue blood pi moon, this then becomes specific. So then that would be where we're going to be looking at our date, March 22nd. So while this could be really any month, the fact that it's so reoccurrent just works in conjunction to this to tell us exactly where we should be looking at for the departure of the church, which is right here. And in regards to 23, this is something that's been showing up very often in my personal life. I find whenever the Lord wants to show me a number, I see it very, very often. And for the past week, I've been seeing this one almost several times a day, if not multiple times a day. I have this kind of anyone who has a dog training e-collar, you have settings on it where it ranges from 1 to 120. But for the past week, almost every time I looked at it, it was set to 23, just from cranking it down or up, and it just kind of settled on 23 every single time. So that was my kind of hint to look at 23. So that's going to be very important later in the video. But yeah, I hope this is clear here. We got the primary symbolism and then the secondary, which is going to be very important later in this video. So this is the kind of first point I wanted to just go over. So the second one we're going to look at here is we're going to look at very specifically 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3. So I'll go to that now. So I'll just read it. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So in previous videos and posts, I believe this could have referenced a notion, whereas if you've been paying attention to the news for the past week, the notion of peace within Ukraine, and even the Middle East for a small degree, is very prevalent. So in a way, so I believe for when they shall say peace and safety, I believe they entails Mystery Babylon, also known as America. And then when they shall say peace and safety, I believe that was kind of like the notion of peace and safety. But now I believe that, as according to the note here, it's actually a clear point in time, not a notion. So a really good channel to follow is, I believe it's called Final Hours Ministry. I'll link it below, but they have, the person who runs it is very, very blessed. They receive a lot of visions, and one of them is the coming kind of peace covenant. And they kind of clued me into that this is not a notion of peace and safety, but a very specific point in time, as in signing a kind of large peace pact or peace deal. So I believe that is what we should be looking for, and I believe that's coming very, very soon. I don't think it would be out of the realm of reality for that to be within the next week, for sure. I believe we could definitely see that. And then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So I think what this ultimately entails is a singular event and then a very swift kind of recompense or aftermath. So I believe that's what we're going to be looking at primarily in terms of prophecy this week, is that peace covenant. Sorry. So yeah, that's also very, very important for what we're going to be looking at through the next week. But yeah, that's pretty well the second point covered. And then the third, this is actually very, very funny. I'll go to the calendar right now. So as if you followed my previous series of videos involving the lavender E-code, I was looking at March 8th and then a Julian day, February 22nd. So, and then we had over on the Aleph calendar 1024. And then after looking at where I now believe is the departure of church and then the sudden destruction, if you look down here, you'll have almost the exact same kind of setup, but in different calendars here. So you have Gregorian, that's our March 22nd. So that would be the if you haven't watched those videos, I recommend going back and watching them. I'll link those below as well. But you have your 2-2 that the kind of Donald Trump figure is standing on, and then you have 3-8, which I believed was Gregorian 3-8, but now it seems it fits perfectly in Julian. So very very interesting how those two fit together almost perfectly on different different calendars and at a different time. But that's very interesting. And then over here you have your Enochian, which is you have your 12-3 and 12-4, which is pretty much the same as on the Aleph. You have 10-23, 10-24. So very, very interesting how those fall together. The more interesting part, though, is that you have the 3-8 and the March 22nd on the 12-4 date, whereas over here you didn't have that, I don't think. I think you had the 20... Let's take a look here. Yeah, it didn't fit together quite as well, but this is a little more compact. You have it all in the Enochian date, which is very interesting. But yeah, that's definitely something to look at. I'm not counting out that the lavender kind of decode might just be another breadcrumb that we've already had. But it is very interesting how it also fits together exactly where I'm looking at now with the 23rd. So I should also say for the 23rd that you should go back and watch the very first video I put on this channel, as that was the date I was looking at there. It was the 22nd to the 23rd. Mainly because I took into account our primary symbolism of our blue blood pi moon. And then I assumed what they were showing us was not the equinox, but the third quarter moon. So that fell right in line with that 3/22 date. So yeah, it's funny how that kind of comes full circle, and then we come back to that third quarter moon date. But yeah, very very interesting. And if you watch my some of my other videos on that, this is the full prediction right here. So that would be March 22nd at 10:44 p.m., which could also be Adar, as 10:44 reduced to 1:44 is Adar, which is... Oh, I don't even have internet on here. My apologies. So that would then be our Adar, which is our 12th month in the Hebrew calendar, which we are currently in here, in our rabbinical, sorry. But yeah, everything just kind of just lines up perfectly here. And then we have the church departs on March 22nd, sun destruction on 3/23. So yeah, that just it fit together perfectly for me in terms of the third quarter moon symbolism. So I still believe that is, I'm now believing again that that is in fact our departure date. And I found one very, very, very interesting kind of correlation here. I'll just, I don't know if I did disclaimer at the start. I'll do disclaimer now. Anything from this point forward in the video is just for entertainment purposes, not to be taken seriously. So we're going to go over and we're going to look at the moon calendars for September 2001, and then we're going to look at March 2025. So interestingly enough, we have our 22nd here, which I believe is the departure of the church. So it would be very kind of symbolic. You would have your blood moon here, which is your warning, and then here you would have the division of people. You would have your sheeps, your goats, your believers, your unbelievers, righteous, unrighteous, however you want to put it. So I think that would be very fitting symbolically. I think that would be perfect. And then over here you have kind of like waning third quarter moon here. So we're going to go to 2001 September, and then you have right here on the 10th you have your third quarter moon, just as we had our third quarter moon on the 22nd there. And then the next day you have, as I'm sure most of you know what happened on this day, you have that same kind of like waning third quarter moon. So if you look at the moon phases, you have the exact same pattern here. So if this is your departure of the church, this would be your sudden destruction. So it would fit right in line with the same kind of patterns. In a way, this would be kind of like a replica, per se, of that kind of moon calendar in terms of events. So definitely plausible, I think. But yeah, I might make another video where I just kind of go over the very first video I made, as it's pretty much just third quarter moon symbolism, as well as pointing to the blue blood pi moon. So uh, I might make another video in regards to that, but yeah, that's pretty well everything I wanted to present in this video. And I hope this offers people some hope, as I think we're very, very close, and everything just kind of fits logically together, as well as the kind of nod from the Lord I've had in terms of the number 23, and then the approaching First Thessalonians 5:3 peace treaty. So yeah, everything fits together very, very well for me. I'm not very worried at all, as you have to consider that that our primary symbolism has in fact like run out now, and now we're just looking at secondary. So we're in that kind of that twilight before the dark. I think we're right there, and I think this week is going to. I think we're going to see very, very early on in the week if in fact this is going to lead to what we think it is going to lead to in terms of the peace agreement. But yeah, very, very interesting. And sorry if I sound out of breath throughout this video. I guess that's just how it went. But yeah, thank you for watching. And if you have anything to add on, I'd love to hear it in the comments, and we can talk about it. And yeah, definitely expect some more videos. I'm kind of glad in a way that my job isn't done. I definitely enjoy this. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. God bless. Take care.